Welcome to Her True Stories, where we share the darkest family betrayals and the most brutal revenges ever lived. I'm about to tell you my story, a story about the night my own son and his wife tried to feed me to the sharks for $74 million. But let me tell you right now, they picked the wrong mother to betray. Before I begin, I want you to remember this. Survival isn't just about strength, it's about strategy. Our book, Reclaiming Your Peace After Pain, is filled with real strategies for building the kind of unshakable confidence that is discovered. It's not about becoming cruel or vindictive. It's about becoming so secure in your own worth that other people's opinions can't touch your peace. Whether you're dealing with toxic family members, manipulative friends, or anyone who thinks they can walk all over you, this book will show you how to reclaim your power with dignity and grace. The link is in the description. Now, settle in, because my revenge story begins the night my son laughed as his wife pushed me into the sea. It was supposed to be a family evening, a calm dinner on the yacht I paid for, wine I had imported, and views only money could buy. But money doesn't buy loyalty. It doesn't buy love. It only makes betrayal more expensive. I remember the air first. Salt, clean but sharp, curling in my throat as if it already knew I'd be swallowing more of it before the night was over. I wore cream silk trousers and a blouse that caught the wind. A gold chain at my neck, the last piece of jewelry my second husband had given me before his heart gave out. I didn't know that chain would be used as proof of my accident. Marina, my daughter-in-law, the woman who had smiled in my face while scheming behind my back, was the one who insisted we go out that evening. "It'll be good for you, Mother Ashcroft," she said with that voice of hers, honey laced with arsenic. "The sea always clears the mind." Cole, my only son, stood beside her. He had his father's jawline but none of his father's character. If there was any of me in him, he'd buried it long ago under greed and Marina's whispers. The sun was folding itself into the horizon when Marina leaned against the rail with me. "Say hi to the sharks," she said sweetly, as if the words were a toast. Then her hands were on my back. It wasn't rough. It was casual, almost careless. The push of a woman who knew she wouldn't be questioned. The world tilted. My legs hit the rail. My body lifted like fabric. For a second, I saw Cole's face above me. He was laughing. Not a nervous laugh. Not a shocked laugh. A laugh that said he'd been waiting for this moment. Then the sea swallowed me whole. The shock of the water was a blade against my skin. I fought for breath as silk wrapped my legs like chains. Salt burned my eyes. I surfaced long enough to hear them laughing. My son, my own blood, chuckling at the sight of me thrashing. Marina's voice carried down. "She can't even swim in that outfit. Idiot." The yacht didn't slow. I should have panicked. I should have screamed. But I am not a woman who dies screaming. I counted instead. My lungs begged, my heart thundered, but I counted 50 in, 50 out, until the rhythm was stronger than the fear. That was when I saw it. A fin cutting the water to my left. Not big, not a movie monster, but real, curious. A predator tests the night. Most people scream when they see a shark. I smiled. I thought, so this is what they wanted for me. Let's see if they can handle it when I bring the sharks back to them. Minutes later, the hum of a small motor reached me. A rib boat cut across the dark, guided by men I had paid and protected long before this night. Toa, the deckhand who had always been mine, tossed the throw bag cleanly. Finn Calder, former Coast Guard, the kind of man who owes favors and pays them double, hauled me aboard. "You all right, Ms. Ashcroft?" Finn asked, voice calm, no judgment in his eyes. "I'm alive," I said. "That's enough for tonight." But in my mind, a sharper sentence formed, "And they won't be when I'm done." As the rib sped toward my hidden shore house, Toa tossed my soaked blouse into the water with a small weighted sack. Evidence down, he muttered. A woman had died in that blouse. A foolish, trusting woman who believed her son could love her. She was gone. The woman who survived was something else entirely. By the time dawn came, Lydia Ashcroft was officially dead. And that was when my revenge truly began. The sea can erase a body, but I needed more than the ocean's silence. I needed the law, the banks, and my own son's greed to believe I was gone. That morning, while the city still slept, Finn laid a map across the cedar table of my safe house. "Here's how we make you dead," he said. He didn't ask if I wanted it. He knew. Step 1 was props. A shoe, planted where the tide would roll it to shore. My lipstick cap, tucked into seaweed. The gold chain, left where divers would find it snagged on a coral outcrop. Grief needs artifacts, so we gave the world a handful. Step 2 was paperwork. My attorneys filed the right motions with the wrong dates. My estate trust contained a clause most heirs never notice. If a primary heir is involved in an inquiry regarding the grantor's death, distributions freeze. I had installed that trigger years ago when Cole was still in prep school because I've never believed in blind faith. Now that trigger slammed shut like iron. Step 3 was whispers. Through channels I owned, witnesses surfaced. A fisherman claimed he saw a woman fall. Another swore the push didn't look like an accident. Enough doubt for the police to treat Cole and Marina as suspects rather than victims. By evening, the reports hit the news. Wealthy heiress lost at sea, son distraught. I watched from my cedar living room as my son wept for cameras, his arm around Marina, who dabbed her eyes like a Broadway actress. He said I'd seemed confused that night, unsteady on her feet. He said maybe it was age, maybe it was wine. I sipped my tea and smiled. He's digging his own grave and doesn't even know it. The detective assigned, Hensley, was nobody's fool. He listened too carefully. He asked Cole about timing. The captain's log, doctored by Toa before it was filed, contradicted his story. Suspicion sprouted. And in that gap I worked. I froze his access to my accounts. The offshore transfers Marina had already arranged hit red flags. Bankers called, demanding answers. Answers Cole couldn't provide without confessing what he'd done. By the second night, they were snapping at each other on live feed cameras I'd installed years ago. Marina hissed, "Why isn't it clearing?" Cole shouted, "Because she was supposed to drown, not vanish into paperwork." I watched them from my safe house, sipping good bourbon. They thought they were predators circling an inheritance. They didn't realize they were already caught in my net. I wasn't just alive. I was hunting. And soon, I would feed them to the very terror they had planned for me. They thought I was gone. But the dead don't freeze bank accounts. The dead don't file injunctions. And the dead don't listen through walls. By the third night after my accident, I sat in my cedar safe house with Finn's laptop balanced on my knees, watching my son and his wife unravel like cheap thread. They were back in my mansion, their mansion in their minds, drinking my wine, wearing my silk robes, parading through rooms that still smelled of me. I had cameras in every corner of that house. Not new ones. Not rushed installations. These had been there for years. When you've buried 2 husbands and raised 1 son who looked at you more like a banker than a mother, you learn to prepare. My home was never just a home. It was an archive, a witness, a stage waiting for its performance. Marina sprawled across my velvet sofa, her legs crossed like she was already the lady of the estate. "It's taking too long," she snapped, swirling a glass of Bordeaux so roughly she spilled drops onto the rug. She didn't even notice. Cole stood at the fireplace, pacing. His movements were jerky, restless, the way a man looks when the story he rehearsed in the mirror isn't playing as smoothly in real life. "The banks are stalling," he said. "They're asking questions." Questions. Marina's laugh was sharp.
She drowned.
What else is there to ask? Timing, Cole muttered. Details. Logs. He didn't know it yet, but the yacht captain's supplemental log, Toa's work, had already been filed with the Coast Guard. It contradicted Cole's report by a clean 30 minutes. That half-hour gap was enough to paint suspicion over everything they said. Marina leaned forward, lowering her voice like a conspirator. "You're not telling me you're scared." Cole turned on her, face flushed. "I'm saying it doesn't add up, Marina." She was supposed to. He stopped himself, swallowing the words like poison. "But the house doesn't forget. My cameras caught it. My microphones swallowed it whole. And I recorded it." Later that night, Cole called their offshore contact, Mr. Dunn. A shadow in a suit. The kind of man who launders other people's sins for a percentage. I patched into the call through a channel Finn had traced. "She's gone," Cole said, his voice pitched too high. "The estate clears in days, and then we'll move the funds as discussed." Dunn's voice was dry, clinical. "You'll forgive me, Mr. Ashcroft, but death certificates take longer than grief." Marina cut in. "We don't care how you do it. Just get the accounts ready." I smiled, sitting in the cedar dark. They wanted speed. I gave them walls. The following morning, my attorney triggered another clause I'd buried in the trust, a mandatory ethics review if heirs engaged in questionable conduct surrounding my death. Every transfer froze. Marina screamed at Cole until her voice cracked. Cole slammed a chair hard enough to split the leg. I leaned back, sipping tea, while Finn adjusted the volume on the recording. "They're choking on your leash," he said. "They haven't even felt my teeth yet," I replied. "If revenge is going to work, it has to be more than punishment. It has to be poetic. It has to mirror the crime. They tried to feed me to sharks. So I decided to bring the sharks home." The mansion was beautiful in daylight. Marble floors, glass railings, an indoor pool that gleamed like a jewel. But beauty can be retooled. Beauty can be weaponized. With Finn, Toa, and Mac, the electrician whose hands worked like scalpels, we rebuilt my home into something else. A cage. A trap. A kill box. The first step was control. Finn installed blackout shutters on every window, wired to a central panel. One tap, and the entire house would plunge into night. No light, no escape. Next were the doors. The pressure locks I'd commissioned years ago, originally designed for hurricane security, were recalibrated to lock from my control board. Once they closed, even fire axes wouldn't cut through. Mac rerouted the fire suppression system. Not for fire, but for brine. At my signal, a mist of salt water could flood corridors, slicking floors, shorting handheld electronics, turning their desperate scramble into humiliation. Then came the pool. That pool had been a sanctuary once. I used to swim laps every morning, the light from the glass ceiling scattering like diamonds over the water. But now? Now it was my stage. We lowered custom glass panels over sections of the pool, thick enough to hold weight, but fragile enough to fracture under command. The deep end was rigged with a floodgate connected to brine tanks Finn had arranged. Within minutes, the water could be churned into a frenzy of salt and shadow. And into that water, we introduced my guests. Not movie monsters, not great whites, but something real. Nurse sharks, sleek and muscular, their eyes blank as coins. Harmless if left alone, dangerous when baited with blood. I remember standing at the pool's edge that night, the house lit only by construction lamps. Toa knelt at the far end, securing a sensor to the glass. Finn stood beside me. "You sure about this?" he asked. I touched the remote in my hand. One button opened the shutters. One button closed them. Another flooded the pool. Another fractured the glass. "I'm sure," I said. "They wanted me to die here. Instead, they'll die knowing I built this for them." Toa tested the audio system, and my own voice filled the empty house. "Say hi to the sharks." Hearing it echo through the corridors sent a chill through me, not of fear, but of satisfaction. We placed speakers in the gallery hallway in the master suite, by the pool deck, each one capable of looping audio. Their laughter from the yacht, Marina's sweet venom, Cole's nervous jokes. When the time came, the house itself would accuse them. By dawn, the mansion wasn't just a home anymore. It was alive. It could lock, choke, blind, flood, whisper, and bite. I stood in the center of the foyer, my hand resting on the marble banister, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. They thought they'd buried me in the sea, but I had risen, and I had built them a tomb with windows. Revenge requires patience. Patience and silence. For 3 nights, I had let them enjoy their stolen comfort, strutting through my mansion as if the marble had ever belonged to them. They ate at my dining table, slept in my bed, wore my silk robes, touched my things with hands that had pushed me into the sea. But tonight, that patience ended. I sat in the wine cellar control room, the glow of my monitors washing my face pale. My fingers rested lightly on the panel like a pianist waiting for the opening note. At 11:07 p.m., I heard the gravel crunch of tires. The cameras caught the Bentley pulling up the circular drive. Marina emerged first, teetering on silver heels, drunk on champagne and greed. She laughed, too loud, too brittle. The laugh of a woman who believed she had already won. Cole followed, jacket slung over his shoulder, hair falling in his eyes. He looked careless, but I could see the twitch in his jaw. He wasn't as calm as he wanted her to think. The front door opened. They stepped into the foyer. That's when I struck. The lights flickered, one by one, then snapped into darkness. The chandelier overhead shivered as the current cut. The house groaned like a living thing. Marina let out a sharp gasp. Cole. It's just a fuse, he muttered, already pulling his phone from his pocket. Relax. He glanced at the screen. No signal. Of course. I had already jammed every tower within 2 blocks. I let silence press down on them for 10 long seconds. Silence has weight. It makes the mind invent monsters before you even see them. Then the sound began. First, the slow roll of waves. Gentle but wrong in a marble house. The sound of the ocean filling hallways where there should only be silence. Then, beneath it, faint laughter. Their laughter. Cole froze. Marina's face went white. Cole, she whispered. That's me. That's me laughing. Cole tried to cover it. No. It's interference. Some kind of. The laughter swelled, echoing through the house, ricocheting down the staircase, filling the high ceilings. Marina clutched his arm, her nails digging into his skin. Who's there? Cole shouted, spinning in a circle. Show yourself. I smiled. Finally, I pressed the mic button and let my voice carry. You told me to say hi to the sharks. The words slithered through every speaker, soft, deliberate, unmistakable. Cole staggered back, eyes wide. You're dead. You drowned. I let their terror breathe for a moment before I answered. No. I lived. And now, so will your fear. Cole grabbed Marina's wrist, dragging her toward the door. He yanked the handle, pulled until the veins in his neck bulged. The lock didn't move. He slammed his shoulder against it. Nothing. The house had them now. Let us out, he roared. You laughed while I drowned, I said. You stood there and watched. Now you'll know what drowning feels like. The ocean sounds deepened, filling the mansion with the weight of unseen water. Every corner seemed to shift with the tide. Cole kicked the door until his shoe split. Marina sobbed, mascara streaking her cheeks. Welcome home, I whispered. This house is mine. Tonight it will bury you. The shutters dropped over the windows, metal sliding down with a scream of steel. No neighbors would hear. No street light would help. They were sealed in. I switched the feed to the pool room. One by one, the floor lights came alive, bathing the glass panels in an eerie blue glow. Below, shadows shifted. Fins cut through the water, patient, circling. Marina clamped a hand over her mouth. Her knees buckled. "Cole," she whimpered. Cole stared, his bravado leaking away like blood from a wound. I leaned into the mic, my voice steady as stone. "Say hi to the sharks." Their screams echoed through the mansion, colliding with the sound of the surf. And for the first time in years, I breathed without bitterness. Death would have been too quick, too clean. I wanted them to choke on the fear they had fed me, to feel helpless, humiliated, hunted. The house became my weapon. I led them first into the gallery hallway. Spotlights flared to life, searing white, illuminating every wall. But not with paintings, not with family portraits. I had stripped those away. In their place, mirrors. Everywhere. Floor to ceiling. Angled. Endless. Marina gasped, clutching Cole's arm. "What is this?" Their reflections multiplied, shaking hands, pale faces, wide eyes. The mirrors made them look smaller, uglier. Their fear was infinite now, bouncing back at them from every angle. Then the laughter began again. Not mine, theirs. Cole's chuckle. She went over like laundry. Marina's crystalline laugh. "Say hi to the sharks." The words ricocheted off glass, louder, louder, until the hallway itself mocked them. "Stop it!" Marina screamed, covering her ears. Cole lost control. He punched the mirror in front of him. Glass exploded, shards slicing his hand. Blood spattered the floor. He roared in pain, cradling his fist. But behind the broken mirror was another speaker, waiting. The laughter didn't stop. "Every lie you told," I said through the walls, "every sound you made, this house remembers." Marina collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Cole pulled her up roughly. "Get up. We have to keep moving." I flooded the floor lights ahead of them, guiding them like rats in a maze. Every path led where I wanted, to the pool room. When they entered, I opened the shutters above. Moonlight poured in, casting silver ripples across the glass. Beneath the panels, the sharks stirred, brushing the surface with blunt noses, circling like judges deliberating. Marina froze. "No. No, Cole. I can't." "Shut up," he snapped, though his voice trembled. I spoke again, quiet, patient. "Cross the glass." "What?" Marina gasped. "You want what I built. My fortune. My house. My life. Then stand where I stood. Walk the glass. Prove you deserve it." Cole shook his head. "We're not doing this. You're insane." So I gave the house a new command. A hiss filled the air. Saltwater mist sprayed from the vents, wetting their skin, soaking their clothes, pooling on the tiles. The brine made the floor slick, dangerous. "You pushed me into the sea," I whispered. "Now the sea comes to you." Cole shoved Marina forward. "Do it. Just go." Her heels slipped on the glass, each step a struggle. Beneath her, the sharks shifted. One bumped the pane, sending a dull thud reverberating through the room. The glass groaned. "Please." Marina sobbed. "Please stop this." I said nothing. Silence is sharper than any threat. She dropped to her knees, crawling. Her palms left smears across the glass, trembling, desperate. She reached the keypad at the far end, pressing buttons at random. Nothing happened. There was no code. There never was. "Did it work?" Cole shouted. "Marina, did it work?" She turned, eyes wide with horror. "It's nothing. It's nothing." I pressed the mic button, my voice like ice. "You thought there was a way out, but there isn't. There never was." The sharks moved faster now, circling with purpose. One rose close to the surface, its dorsal fin scraping the glass beneath Marina's knees. She shrieked, scrambling backward. Cole pounded the wall with his fists. "You sick! Let her out."
But his voice was weak.
His fear smelled stronger than his rage. The humiliation was working. They weren't predators anymore. They were prey. And the night had only just begun. Guilt has a sound. It doesn't come in screams or sobs. It comes in silence. The kind of silence where every breath feels like proof. By the time I herded them back into the gallery, they were unraveling. Marina's makeup had bled down her cheeks, black streaks cutting her face like war paint. Cole's shirt clung to him with sweat, his injured hand wrapped in a torn sleeve, blood dripping steadily onto the marble. I spoke softly through the speakers. "Do you remember the yacht?"
No.
Cole snapped too quickly. His voice cracked. "It was an accident." I pressed play. His laugh filled the hallway. "She went over like laundry." Cole froze. Marina spun toward him, wide-eyed. "You said you wouldn't say that out loud." "I didn't know she recorded it," he shouted back. I pressed play again. Marina's voice this time, smooth and cruel. "Say hi to the sharks." She slapped her hands over her ears. "Stop it. Please stop it." "Why should I stop?" I asked. "You didn't stop when you pushed. You didn't stop when you laughed." Cole staggered forward, shouting into the air. "You don't understand. You were never supposed to." "Never supposed to what?" I interrupted. "Survive." He went silent. His chest rose and fell too quickly. I lowered my voice to a whisper.
"Say it."
"Say the words. I wanted you dead." Cole shook his head violently.
"No."
I flooded the lights to blinding white. Their shadows vanished. They had nowhere to hide. Marina collapsed to her knees, sobbing into her palms. "It wasn't my idea. It was him. He told me to do it. He said we'd never have to worry about money again." Cole whirled on her. "You're lying. You begged me to do it. You said we could live free if she was gone." Their voices overlapped, shrill, breaking, desperate. I pressed play again. A new clip. Marina's call to Mr. Dunn. "Once the account's clear, we'll split everything." Her sobs cut off. She stared at the speaker, her lips trembling. Then another clip. Cole muttering to her on the yacht, voice caught by a hidden mic. "Just push her. She'll go under. It'll look like an accident." The silence that followed was absolute. I spoke slowly, savoring each word. "The house knows. The sea knows. And now you do too. You wanted me dead." "Please, please, we didn't mean." "Yes," I said, my voice hardening. "You did." Cole gripped the rail of the gallery bridge, his knuckles white despite the blood. His voice dropped, flat, empty.
"Yes."
"We wanted you gone. You're a bitter old woman who never loved anyone but herself." The words hit like stones. But I didn't flinch, because this was the truth I had been waiting for. I leaned into the mic. "Good. Now you've said it. And now you'll drown in it." The lights dimmed to black, and the sound of waves surged louder. I had my confession. Now it was time for the sea to answer. Fear is cruel, but terror is merciful compared to inevitability. I guided them into the pool room, the heart of my trap. The blue glow from the water painted their faces ghastly, hollow, like corpses already halfway into the grave. The sharks below circled lazily, dorsal fins slicing ripples. They weren't killers, not yet. But with the right push, with the right blood, everything in this world becomes what you need it to be. "Choose," I whispered through the speakers. "Who crosses the glass first?" Marina screamed. "No, no, no, please don't make us."
Cole shoved her toward the edge. You
go." Her heels clattered against the panel. She clung to his shirt, wailing, "Don't make me. Please." "Do it," he roared, shoving her harder. She stumbled onto the glass. Beneath her, the sharks quickened, their movements sharp, restless. The glass creaked. She dropped to her knees, crawling, her sobs echoing off the marble. Her palms slipped on the mist, leaving red smears where shards from the broken mirror had cut her earlier. "Keep moving," I said softly. She reached the center, shoulders heaving.
Please.
I can't do this." The glass groaned again, louder this time. Cole snarled from the edge. "Keep going, Marina. Don't stop." I let the silence hang for one long breath. Then I whispered, "Do you remember how hard you pushed?" At that moment, a shark rammed the underside of the glass, hard. The pain shivered. Marina screamed, sprawling flat, her hands clawing for traction. "Cole!" she shrieked. "Help me." He didn't move. She tried again, crawling toward the keypad at the far end. Her fingers slapped the buttons, frantic, desperate. Nothing happened. No code. She turned, sobbing. "It doesn't work. Cole, it doesn't." "Get up," I repeated. "Go to the gallery walkway. The one over the shallow end." He staggered to his feet, swaying like a drunk. His eyes darted around the room, searching for me. But he found nothing. Only my voice, everywhere and nowhere. The walkway stretched across the pool's edge, narrow, glass-sided, high above the shimmering water. He hesitated at the start. "Do you remember standing behind me on the yacht?" I asked. "Do you remember laughing as Marina pushed?" He said nothing. His jaw clenched. "Walk," I ordered. He stepped onto the walkway.
His shoes squeaked against the glass.
Each step echoed in the silent room. He gripped the rail, knuckles white. "Say it," I whispered. "Say the words. I wanted you dead." He shook his head violently.
No.
The walkway lights dimmed to a sickly red. The sound of waves thundered in the room, drowning his defiance. "Say it," I repeated. His breath came fast, shallow. "Fine," he screamed, his voice breaking.
Fine. Yes.
"I wanted you dead. You were old, you were in the way, and I wanted your money." The confession hung in the air like smoke. I pressed the control. The walkway shuddered. A hinge gave way. Cole fell to his knees, clutching the rail.
No. No.
"Don't," he screamed, his voice raw, animal. The panel beneath him creaked. "You laughed while I drowned," I whispered. "Now you'll laugh at nothing." With one final press, the walkway split. Cole dropped into the pool, crashing into the water with a strangled cry. The sharks stirred instantly, darting toward him. He thrashed, kicking, punching the water, his screams filling the room. "Help me.
Please, Mom.
Please." The word "Mom" nearly made my chest ache. Nearly. But then I remembered his laughter, his cold eyes, his betrayal, and I let him drown. The water frothed, then stilled. Cole Ashcroft, my son, my betrayer, was gone. I stood in the silence of my control room, my hands steady on the panel. Just truth. When silence came back to the house, it came heavy, like a curtain dropping after the last line of a play. The pool water calmed, the sharks circling lazily once more, their hunger sated. The air smelled of salt and iron. I closed the shutters, dimming the room to nothing but shadows. Upstairs, the house was immaculate. No broken mirrors, no blood trails, no screams. Just marble, still and cold, as if nothing had happened. Finn entered the control room quietly, his face unreadable. "It's done?" he asked. I nodded once. "It's done." Toa followed, carrying a duffel bag. "Evidence is packed. Footage ready to scatter if anyone comes sniffing." I looked at the monitors one last time. The images of Cole and Marina, caught in their last moments of arrogance and terror, froze like portraits. That was the only legacy they deserved. The world would never know the truth. Officially, they would vanish in disgrace, suspects under investigation, drowning in their own greed. The house would tell its story differently depending on who asked. That was the beauty of control. Truth is a blade, and I was the one holding it. When they left me on that yacht, they believed I was finished. But tonight proved something more powerful than survival. It proved that I was the storm. I climbed the marble staircase slowly, my hand gliding over the banister. For the first time in years, I felt no weight pressing down on me. No doubt.
No guilt.
I walked through the foyer, past the tall windows now hidden by shutters. The air was clean, still mine. I paused at the door, turning back one last time. The house was silent, empty, but I could still hear the echoes of their screams. And in those echoes, I found peace. I wasn't just alive. I was reborn. And that's how Lydia Ashcroft transformed 18 years of silent suffering into one weekend of perfect justice. She never raised her voice, never lost her composure, never stooped to their level. She simply created conditions where her guests could show the world exactly who they really were, and they did. Here's what I love most about Lydia Ashcroft's story. She didn't wait for someone else to give her permission to demand respect. She didn't apologize for having boundaries. She didn't try to be the bigger person by accepting unacceptable behavior. At 62 years old, she decided her peace was worth more than their approval, and she acted on that decision with surgical precision. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been dismissed, excluded, or treated like you don't matter, I want you to know that Lydia Ashcroft's strength lives inside you too. You don't have to accept disrespect from anyone, no matter how they're related to you or how long you've tolerated their behavior. Our book, Reclaiming Your Peace After Pain, is filled with real strategies for building the kind of unshakable confidence that Lydia Ashcroft discovered. It's not about becoming cruel or vindictive. It's about becoming so secure in your own worth that other people's opinions can't touch your peace. Whether you're dealing with toxic family members, manipulative friends, or anyone who thinks they can walk all over you, this book will show you how to reclaim your power with dignity and grace. Click the link in the description right now and start building the life you deserve. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Lydia Ashcroft didn't. She saw an opportunity and she took it. Your opportunity is right here, right now. Now I want to hear from you. What's the most elegant revenge you've ever witnessed or experienced? Have you ever had to deal with someone like Cassandra, who treated you like you were invisible? Drop your stories in the comments. This community is here to support each other, and your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you believe that kindness is not weakness, that boundaries are not cruelty, and that some people need to learn respect the hard way, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more stories of people who refuse to be walked on, and hit that notification bell because, trust me, we have more incredible tales of strategic justice coming your way. Remember, you're never too old to start over, never too quiet to demand respect, and never too kind to enforce consequences. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your voice matters. Your boundaries matter. Your peace matters more than their comfort. Until next time, stay strong, stay strategic, and never forget, the best revenge is living so well that your enemies become irrelevant to your happiness. I'll see you in the next story, where we prove once again that underestimating the quiet ones is always, always a mistake.